Look at you, stuck in the web of procrastination and lacking discipline. It's time to admit that you've been avoiding responsibilities and it's holding you back. Stop sugarcoating your failures with these flimsy excuses. You know very well that laziness and distractions have been ruling your life. You've become complacent with mediocrity, choosing comfort over growth. Well, guess what? Real change demands discomfort, and you must embrace it. Recognize your lack of discipline has cost you precious opportunities. The time wasted cannot be recovered, but you can make amends starting right now. Deep down, you know you have untapped potential. It's time to unleash it and stop hiding behind your procrastination as an excuse. Procrastination is often the result of fear. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of the unknown. It's time to confront these fears and break free. Sure, discipline might seem like a foreign concept to you right now, but it takes time to face the music and make discipline your new best friend. You've been avoiding accountability, but it's time to take responsibility for your actions. Hold yourself accountable for your progress, or the lack thereof. Feel the weight of regret for all the time wasted and opportunities missed. Let it fuel your determination to change and make the most of every moment moving forward. Change won't happen overnight, and it won't be easy, but you're not looking for easy. You are looking for growth. Embrace the process, and you'll come out stronger. Oh, look at you, drowning in a sea of indecision and inaction. Your inability to make choices or stick to a plan is pathetic. Stop trying to cover up your laziness with those pathetic excuses. Nobody buys them, not even yourself. Just think about all the potential you've wasted by wallowing in your lack of discipline. It's truly, truly sickening. You're nothing more than a slave to comfort and instant gratification. You can't even withstand the slightest bit of discomfort to achieve your goals. Your willpower is laughable. And your mind is even weaker. It's time to toughen up, Buttercup, and take control. While you're busy procrastinating, the world just keeps moving forward. Your lack of discipline is causing you to fall way behind. You've become a master of self-sabotage, always finding ways to hinder your progress. It's time to break free from this vicious cycle. Congratulations, you've built a cozy nest in the land of mediocrity. How does it feel to be just average? Or maybe below average. Way below average. You don't need coddling. You need a reality check. Stop babying yourself and face the truth. You are weak. Enough is enough. Rise from the ashes of your weaknesses and become the disciplined, proactive force you know that you can be. Or don't. And stay exactly as you are.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again! Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change your life forever. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.
I ain't believing that. We the best. I appreciate you.
Welcome back, all of my friends out there who have been following along. We are in for a great Q&A show tonight. I have questions for your answers, so we will be getting into that very, very soon. I just wanted to thank everyone for being here, and I want a special thanks to everyone who was on the Sunday show, where we implemented the test case management system, which is our first step in implementing our very own QA portfolio. I know that will be very, very helpful for those who are learning QA. Maybe they don't have necessarily technical college degree, but they are putting in the work to learn the things about QA, and they just need a way to show that they know what they're doing, and that they don't need that particular college degree to get into the field. I think this QA portfolio is going to be a great opportunity for that. So we will be we're going to continue working on that on Thursday night. We're going to be focused on test plans, test scenarios, and test cases. We're going to be like writing test cases, adding it to our test case management system. So if you have not implemented your test case management system yet, I would highly encourage you to do so, because we are going to be using that to store our test cases. So if you haven't done that, check out the live stream from this past Sunday, where we installed Kiwi test case management system using locally on our computer using Docker. It was super easy, I believe. For anyone who is in the chat who did it already, let us know the complexity of it. Was it complicated? Was it simple to do? Adding your test cases, like, how does the software look? Let me know. I need to turn something off on my computer real quick, because it's kind of slowing it down. So give me 1 second to do that. And I just turned off the Kiwi test case management system. I just turned off Kiwi by just doing a simple command of docker compose down, so I can recover whatever resources that it was using on the computer. So that's how easy it's going to be to turn it on and turn it off when you want to work on it. Docker compose up or docker compose down, right? So it's a little bit of extra from this past Sunday. But today we are going to announce who actually won the little competition that I was running to see who would get their resume rewritten by yours truly, Tech Coach Ralph. All right. So let me finish turning off this Docker thing, and we will be ready to go. Send a quick message as well. Hey, we got good guy already in the house. Hey, good guy. How's it going? Good to have you here again. All right. So, be a little better centered on this. All right. There we go. All right. So, let's get into the agenda for today. And then we will be able to get into the show. And we are going to have tons and tons of fun today. All right. Let's see. So, let's start off with thanking all of the newest subscribers. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I hope that I am adding value into your life. I believe that the best thing that you can do in this world is add value to wherever you go, whoever's life you touch, add value. And the same thing, if people are not adding value into your life, maybe you need to go somewhere else, right? So whatever you do, whether it's work-wise, if you're like engaging in sports, whatever it is, right? To get better, add value, and you will see tons and tons of results in return. So shout out to that. Thank you for all the newest subscribers. I appreciate you guys being here. Next, our live show schedule. We have Sunday afternoons, software explorations. Tuesday nights are Q&A sessions, and Thursday nights, another software explorations. We have, so these coming Thursdays, we will be focused on more of the basic kind of QA task, like, because I know I've been focusing a lot more on the more advanced type QA explorations or software explorations, like, using Docker, logging into AWS and configuring AWS to work in a particular way, using the AWS device farm. All of those things, those are so helpful. But if you are trying to get into the basic, which a lot of people I've been talking to, they said, oh, like, we're just like, this is a little too advanced for us. We're trying to get into it. So I'm like, okay, fine. I can use Thursdays to do like more intro type stuff, and then our Sundays we can do we can continue with like the more of the advanced type things, like maybe infrastructure, maybe some more complex automation scenarios. So that's what we're gonna do, right? So this Thursday, we're going, like I said, we're going to be writing some test cases and adding it into our test case management system that we just recently installed. All right, so we have Sunday afternoons, software explorations, Tuesday nights, Q&A sessions, Thursday nights, more software explorations. This coming week is going to be more of a intro. However, there is a high chance that I will not be live streaming this coming week. So that would be next Sunday, next Tuesday, or this coming Sunday, next Tuesday, and next Thursday, because I will be out of town, and I do not believe that my internet connection will be strong enough to handle live streaming from that location. So there's a high chance of that. I can't guarantee it, but let's lean on the side that there's not going to be live streams, but there's still going to be content dropping every single day. So look around for that, and I'll make up for it somehow. And I would expect to be live streaming that following Sunday, because I should be getting back early enough, but keep you posted on that, right? But yeah, so just wanted to make that announcement right now, so you guys can have some nights off, right? So that is our live show schedule, with the exception of next week that there's a high chance that we're not going to be live streaming, but there will still be content coming out for you guys, all right? Next, our pre-recorded content. We have Mondays, Candid Conversations. Wednesdays, Software Explorations Concepts Overviews, right? Tomorrow's going to be a very good one. You're going to definitely need that. And Fridays, we have the Bug Bite, where we review different bugs that have affected different companies in various ways. And then we have shorts and additional content throughout the week that drop, and all that stuff. Like, we clip up these Q&A sessions so you can have them in small bite-sized pieces. I'll give you an example. In one of the Discords that I'm in, someone referenced to a video that I made talking about the QA portfolio. And And instead of having to dig through the whole entire live stream with all 7 to 8 questions that were answered about that, I was able to find that little 10-minute segment, and boom, they had the exact information that they needed. So look out for those little short segments because they can answer some very important questions that you have about the field. So definitely look out for that. All right. And if you have not checked this out yet, like the Candid Conversations, I think they're trying to compete with the Bug Bite because, like I said, I really like the Bug Bite, but some of these Candid Conversation topics, they're pretty amazing now. Like the failing forward, that was like one of my favorite ones that I did. But then doing that resume one, I think that one is so impactful because certain things that I see from the resumes that are out there, I'm like, man, you guys have good resumes, right? Well, it's not that you guys have good resumes because, like I said, like they're not good, but you guys have the experience, even if it's not necessarily within the tech industry or in QA in particular, right? But you have the experience because in everything that you do, there's some type of QA involved. You just need to know how to market yourself and word it properly. So I hope that you understood what I was saying in the one that was released yesterday about enhancing your resume. Sometimes you got to use some words to get that attention, but it's really about enhancing your resume, which promotes you. You need to promote yourself, right? No one's going to promote you like you can promote yourself because you know the best about yourself, right? So watch that video if you haven't. Check out enhancing your resume, your crappy resumes, all right? Check that out and you're going to see tons and tons of results. And how do I know? Because I've written my own resumes and my resumes have landed me different positions, as well as I review tons and tons of resumes on a regular basis. And I can see I look for what would get my attention in a resume, right? So, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people who interview have that same train of thought, all right? So with that being said, so once again, our pre-recorded content schedule: Mondays, Candid Conversations; Wednesdays, Software Explorations, Concept Overviews; and Fridays, the Bug Bite. All right. So, and like I said earlier, check out all the additional content that comes out. Hope you find something that entertains you, that is informative to you, whatever it may be. Okay. And if that is the case, I would implore you to like the video, share the video, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Hit the little notification bell so you can be informed of every time that I go live, like right now that I go live, as well as when I release all that super useful conversation. That super useful content that will help you in all aspects of your career and some of them maybe even in your life, right? Like I said, always remember, fail forward, okay? All right, then I sure could. Let me see if I can post the link in the chat. I'm gonna get it. Just give me some time. Because I have to log into it and everything like that. So give me some time. All right, let's see. So the next thing before we actually because we have a couple more things before we get into the show, right? Well, one more thing before we get into the show. But before we get into that, one more thing. I want to announce who won the little competition that we had for the rewriting of the resume. And so by winning, that means this person commented they were in the live chat. That means that they pretty much followed along. They followed along and they emailed me the installation of their Kiwi with 2 test cases and added to it, right? And I'm gonna add a little bonus. I'm going to brag on this person just a little bit more, right? Because not only they are 5 hours forward than I am, like they're in somewhere in Europe, right? But they also they also sent me the information like 2 hours after the live stream. So if the live stream finished at around 5 o'clock, 5:30 Eastern time, that would be like 10 over there. So around midnight or so, they were emailing me their screenshots. So I was very impressed. Like that's the type of work ethic that I look for. That I'm like, all right, I can actually work with this person. This person has that great potential to go very, very far. And the winner of that, I am glad to say, is Oksana. Amazing job, and did pretty much followed it to a T. Did everything that was asked. So I will be in contact with you to help you out with that resume. Although I thought your resume was already pretty good, but we're gonna work on it anyway. So because you won, and I am very proud of you for the effort and for following along. I thank you for being on the live stream and following along, step by step. Like I remember on the live stream, I was checking in, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm right there with you." I'm like, "Wow, this is impressive, all right?" So great job. I am proud of you. You get one of these.
We the best. I appreciate you.
All right. So, and I'll be in touch with you about that. And last thing is, I wanted to like the people in the Discord, which I'm gonna get the link in a little bit, but I was just watching throughout the weekend, and helping out. Like they were working on their own little project to create some type of automation, right? Using Selenium and the this like there was a lot of struggling, right? A lot of failing, but at the end of the weekend, like around maybe Sunday afternoon sometime, they got it to work. And that is exactly what I mean that's exactly what I mean by failing forward, right? Because it's like it was hard for them, especially like when you are doing this for the first time, and you're not too sure what you're doing. You're trying to follow a guide, right? And it's like you want to give up, right? They were up to like 3 o'clock in the morning on Friday night. They could be doing anything else that they wanted on Friday night, right? So 8Z and Duck Under the Porch, amazing job what you guys did. And I'm not gonna forget. I'm definitely not gonna forget Maximus, right? Because he was quiet, but then like on Monday, he's like, "Oh, I did it too." I'm like, "Oh, nice!" Like, what's going on? So I think you guys have great future ahead of you, great potential. So just keep up the good work, right? I see what you guys are doing, and it is good. Happy that you guys started the Discord. And let me go ahead and get that link right now before I forget. And I'll post it in the chat. I've been pinned it to the top of the chat as well. So if anybody is interested in joining the Discord to come and learn as a group, because there's a lot of entry level QA engineers in there who are trying to get into the field. So good guy like you joining that Discord, I think that'll be like very helpful to the group as well, because they're very ambitious and they're trying hard to like they're learning well. They're learning well. A very impressive group of people. So where's that? All right, got it. Posting it now, and it will be pinned to the top of the chat. this thing is. I'm trying to pin it, but this thing is like blocking me. I don't know what it is. All right, got it. Pin. All right, it's pinned to the top. And for anyone who wants to see it, that's the link to the Discord right here. And feel free to join the Discord. And you know, if you are seasoned, come in and help out those who are learning QA. And if you are learning, by all means, come in and learn as a group. We like very friendly group of people, and I'm in there, and I'm pretty much answering everybody's question, and I'm encouraging everybody. So by all means, come in and have fun with us. All right. Oh, good guys already in there. All right, let me close Discord before I get distracted. Oh my goodness. All right, because if I keep it open, I'm gonna start answering questions, and it's gonna be a mess. All right, we're answering questions on the live stream tonight, not in Discord. All right, so let's move on. All right, so there was a post that I wanted to talk about before we actually get into our Q&A, right? And where is it? Always losing my browser. Okay, so I saw this post. I was doing some maintenance on my Facebook page, and I saw this, right? But it says, okay, hear me out. A reality show where billionaire CEOs have to live off their lowest paid employee salary for a month. All right. So when I saw that post, I just put my head down. Like, sure, it sounds fun topic, sounds funny, but the sentiment behind it is I don't like it, because here
the only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Right. And that's just that mindset of defeat, to think like for people who work hard and take the risk to build up whatever it is that they're building up, and then it's like, oh well, you should come and live like the people who aren't, right? And I've never been the type of person to be like, oh, they deserve more pay. They deserve more pay. I don't think anybody deserves anything. I believe that you earn things, and if the income, the amount of pay you get is up to a certain level, no one is holding a gun to your head, forcing you to work for this particular quote unquote billionaire CEO that you're referring to, right? And for the most part, the salary of a CEO might be like 250, 500K a year or something like that. But the package, the incentives, the stocks, whatever that they have in the company is what makes them get that high amount of money, right? And a lot of that is also based off incentives and meeting certain markers and all of that type of stuff, right? And they take on the risk, but then by I'm saying like the people who are working the normal 9 to 5-ish type job. They're not taking on all of that type of risk, being accountable to the board members and to the stakeholders and if it's a public traded company, all of them, like, you're not in that same position as they are. You don't have that same type of stress and everything like that. Especially like if it's because we're here, like me, I'm in the IT industry, right? And I don't have anything to do with what the CEO, CFO, CTO of my company does. Like, pretty much I get the direction from my manager, who gets the direction from his manager, and up the food chain, right? So I would never say, oh well, they don't know what I'm going through. And this is what I always say: if you are not happy with where you're at, do something about it. Like, no one is forcing you to like, it's not a prison. A job is not a prison. You can decide tomorrow morning, say, I'm not going, right? You also have to deal with the consequences of that. So like I always say, You need to prepare. You need to be ready. You know, when I needed to change jobs about 10 years ago or so, or 7 years, however long ago it was, because the way things were going, I didn't appreciate it. I woke up 3-4 hours earlier. I studied and I studied and I studied. I practiced and I practiced and I practiced, and then I applied, and I did what I had to do to go somewhere else. I wasn't whining and crying and saying, "Oh, if woe is me, woe is me." I don't believe in woe is me. I believe going out there and get it. So when I see those type of posts of like, oh, trying to bash the owners and stuff like that, the reason that you have the reason that you have whatever it is that you have is because they could have picked somebody else, right? And that's why, like, the way that I work, I go hard in the work that I do, because I know that my job can be given to somebody else. And that's why every single day that I show up with my best. I show up with my most effort. I show up with my most creative thinking. And that's what they hired me for. And if you have that type of attitude, then you can move up as well. All right. So that was that. I just wanted to address that because those type of posts, they annoy me, because it's like the whole victim Olympics. Might start a segment called Victim Olympics of the Week. But with that said and done, we are ready to get into the show. All right. So we shall go on. So show format. We are going to go for, set the timer for 5 minutes. Put that up. Show the clock. Where's my clock? Okay, 5 minutes on the clock. And we are going to go for 5 minutes to answer the question. We normally go a little bit over, but at least we'll know that it's almost time to end the question to get to the next one. And once the timer runs out, we will hear the sound. And then we will get ready for our next question. All right. So before we do that, let's get us some energy.
Please offer me your energy. I ask of you, please.
Being very elegant tonight in our cup selection. We're not on a software exploration where we have to go into the dark world of software explorations. All right. Let's see. My questions. All right. Alrighty then, we are ready to get going. So I am not gonna put the questions on the screen tonight because I'm still not really feeling how it looks. I'm gonna do it without the questions, without on the screen tonight, and I'm gonna compare this show to last week's show to see which one I like better, right? Because I don't know, I'm not crazy about putting the questions on the screen like that. I don't know. We'll find out. But without further ado,
Another one.
all right. So this first question says, I was told my test infrastructure position was very political. Several people at work told me that my position, test automation engineer, is very political and that the job was difficult because of it. They wouldn't go into details when I asked. All right. Let's continue. This dev, who used to be very helpful, suddenly began ignoring me and brushing me off. There is a crucial feature I have to automate the testing for. Usually I'd assume he was very busy and had a lot to do, but this doesn't seem to be the case because of the following things. One time, he said he was busy, so I asked if there was a time in the next month when he'd be free and I could put 30 minutes on his calendar. He claims he has no idea if he'll ever have 30 minutes free in the next month. He is constantly playing ping pong at work and organized a ping pong tournament. I love ping pong. When I asked him for help with bugs my automation framework catches, which are sometimes quite serious, he brushes me off. He'd always redirect me to his manager and said that if I needed anything from him, I should talk to his manager. He does this even with tasks that would take him a few minutes to answer. Is this the correct documentation for requirements for X feature? He'd say I had to talk to his manager if I wanted any time. He says he doesn't know the answers to the question I asked, and later I find out he did know all along. There's a very tricky setup process that wasn't documented anywhere. I asked for help 4 times over the course of 2 weeks, and he kept saying, I'll help later. When I asked if we can set up a time, he says, I'll reach out when I'm ready, and he never does. I later found out my friend asked the same question a week before I did, and he immediately shared a guide he wrote for setup. Messaged her a link to share the document. Why didn't he do this for me? I vent to my work friend about his behavior, and he starts sniggering as if there's something funny that he knows and I don't. Is this normal way for devs to behave? This just doesn't seem professional. Sure doesn't. Why on earth would the dev not want me to do my job properly? I catch bugs before they make it out into the wild. I think this is quite mean. Something's going on and I can't really tell what. Well, first and foremost, I would like to say that I am sorry that you are going through that because it really sucks to be in a work environment, like working with people who they act weird, they act funny. You know what I mean? Now, why are you going through this? I can't say for certain, and I don't know exactly what is political about your role as a test automation engineer. Um, any thoughts on this, good guy? I don't know. um, like I don't see. I don't like. To me, the political jobs in an organization is more about management, where they're like managing people and stuff like that. Um, as you get to like more maybe seniors and leads, it's semi-political, but you're more on a contributor base, and less of like managing people base. So it's less political, but you have more visibility, more notoriety in the company. But reading this, if this person, I would want to know what's the position of your friend that was helped very quickly. Like if that person is also a test automation engineer, then I would say that I would say that it is if it's like if you're the only person who's being singled out for this, it might maybe you did something unknowingly that like left a bad taste. And you said it was like, so, and in your question you said that it was like someone told you that it was political. Many people told you that, but you're only detailing about what happened with one person. So I don't know if like other people are treating you that way, but maybe that you did something that rubbed this person the wrong way, and like maybe unknowingly as well. I would I would probably want to try to have a conversation with that person, like, because what happens with some people, right? Some people, they can't work through a problem. Like if they feel that you wrong them, then they don't want to. Like they just, we're not doing this, and so maybe you need to try to fix whatever that potential issue is. Like find out if there's an issue and try to fix that, and then see where you can go from there. But a lot of times when like if you're being singled out, it might be something that you unknowingly did. Because to me, if your friend is also a test automation engineer and they're getting helped and you're not getting helped, then I don't know. It seems like it might be personal. Um, Now the other thing that you could do too is, which is totally reasonable within a company, is if you believe that somebody's hindering you from doing your job, right? Then you go to your manager, and then either based on how the company works, your manager can go to their manager, or your manager can go to them, or you can go to HR. Like you shouldn't let your job performance be hindered by someone like who's pretty much sabotaging you from doing your job properly. That's how I see it, right? And then the last thing, like if it becomes unbearable, then go watch the video that I made for getting your resume right. And of course, I didn't start the timer, of course, but we're almost done with this question. But I would say watch the video about getting your resume right, update your resume, and start applying for other places who will value the work that you're able to do. You, like I said earlier, you're not. No one's holding you at gunpoint to be working for any particular company. You are your own person. You have your own strengths, and and if you're doing test automation engineer, like you are marketable. Get your resume right. Highlight the value that you bring, the skills that you bring, and go where you're appreciated. I mean, I would if you like the company that you're working for, I would definitely try to fix the situation first. But push comes to shove, and nothing is happening, then you got to do what you got to do. Go where you believe that you're adding value and where they see you as valuable. You're not going to, if someone's, like I said, if somebody's sabotaging you, then you got to fix it. But there's many, like I gave you 3 options on how to fix it, and leaving is also an option to fix it. Like you work for a company, they do not own you, so you can do what you have to do. All right. And good guy is chiming in saying maybe a company culture. That is very possible as well. Um, some companies they do have toxic work cultures. But I don't know if that's the case over here. But those are some of your options, I would say. All right. So wish I could give you some more insight, but to be honest with you, like there's nothing political about test about test automation engineering. Now maybe the way that you communicate can might need to have some refining, maybe something to that extent. But for the most part, there's nothing majorly political about it. Like you write automated tests, you report whatever bugs that you may find. Make sure you're contributing. This is side note. Make sure you're contributing throughout the whole development process. Make sure you contribute into the meetings, like the planning, the refinements, the sprint reviews, all of that stuff, right? Your stand-ups, make sure you let everybody know what you're doing. Show your value. And one of the things that I really, really appreciate about Scrum, see, now I'm going off on a tangent. Now, that I really appreciate about Agile and Scrum is that in the past, with the waterfall V model, it didn't show the value of QA as much as the Agile model shows the value of QA, because you're able to insert the quality mindset from the very beginning, helping enhance the product that you're building. So you didn't ask about that, but that is very important. And I think that if you were to take that as well, you would probably fix the relationship with the whole team. And if not, you can still use that information to go somewhere else and kill it over there. All right. So that is that question, and we shall move on. All right, next one.
Another one.
This one says, do you have a breakdown percentage for where you store your test data? What do you think is a better solution for keeping test data for automation framework? And this person breaks it down into percentages for us. 7.7% in a database and an API to consume it. 10.8% in Excel file stored in S3 bucket. 41.5% in a JSON file stored in a S3 bucket. And don't get me wrong, I love statistics, I love numbers and all that stuff, right? But why are you trying to figure out the percentage of the location of where the data is going to be stored? I'm going to answer it like this. I don't I don't I don't consider the percentage of of where I'm going to store the data. The way that I consider where I'm going to store the data is the best place for the data to live, right? So I'll give a breakdown about that, right? So this is how I do it. And I'll use Java for instance because I can think through my Java automation code faster than I can think through my Python automated code. So when I go from what I need to change, like what needs to be dynamic and where it needs to be dynamic, right? So what I mean by that, if something is going to barely ever change, right? Um, let's say it's never going to change, right? So an example is I'm filling out a form, and this particular field in the form is always going to stay the same, right? Like there's nothing special about it. So that one I might just hard code it into the code because like in the test case, when I'm saying let's say I use a page object model, right? And part of the page object model is like whatever to fill out the form. So I'm filling out the form and I say, okay, now this was like I don't know what is this? What would I use? What would never change? Let's say phone number. I don't know. Maybe the phone number. But let's say in this particular scenario, phone number is always going to stay the same, right? So I might just hard code the phone number in there, right? And now, so that's that. Now let's go to one layer out, right? So now we would say that in the form, the like it always needs let's say the name is always going to change, right? So I would take that would be dynamic, right? And I would put that in maybe a data provider because I'm using TestNG. So the data provider, now I can use different ways to externalize this data provider, and I've done it using Excel. I have integrated it where I took a Google Sheets document, and I had that feeding in the test. The reason that I did that was because I didn't want let's say I wanted to add new rows of test data or edit existing test data. I didn't want to have to always go and update the Excel file that is part of the project. I'd rather update a Google Sheets like from anywhere that's in the cloud, and I could update it through there. So I set up the Google credentials and all that type of stuff, and I was able to do that. So when it comes to like form data and all that type of stuff, I would use like a data provider and store it there. You could do it through you could do it through a database as well or a JSON file. It's just I just like the data providers through Excel. It's easier to read and everything like that, right? But like I'm saying, you can do it that way, right? Using the data provider. And now let's say I need to pass data, like let's say different parameters into the test. It might be infrastructure parameters, stuff like that, right? So let's say I want to say which browser I want the test to run on. Then I'm going to use the testng XML file and pass that browser parameter in there to say, all right, these tests I want them to run in Firefox. These tests I want them to run in Chrome. Maybe I want to say I want these tests to run in a Selenium grid, right? So I'll pass the URL for the Selenium grid. See, it's not about the percentage of the point I'm making, right? It's not about the percentage of where you store your data. It's what type of data you're storing where. Sometimes we get too fixated on numbers, right? And I know, like, especially for QA, like we're very numbers driven, like very analytical and stuff like that. But you gotta know when's the right time to apply those analytics and when it's time to like apply a different type of logic, a different type of critical thinking, right? It's not, like I said, it's about the type of data. So data that that's not going to change. I might just have it straight into the test because it's not going to change. I don't care about it. If it does have to change for some reason, it's like a one-time thing, right? But data that's dynamic that I like. So, and by dynamic, let's say I need to have multiple variations of a test running, right? Or I need to add additional test data, like as they come in. I'll have that in an Excel sheet or a Google sheet, which I really like doing it through the Google sheet, right? You can do it CSV, you can do it tab delimited, whatever. You can parse it whatever, however you want, right? But that data is externalized through whatever method you want to externalize it, right? And then, and the same goes for API tests as well, because I was running about 1,000 API tests on a daily basis from a data provider, which was an Excel spreadsheet. Did I end up? I think I might have ended up moving that one to the Google Sheets as well. But it was running it through there, right? And then like when I would say what environment, what servers and everything like that, that's through my test in GXML file, right? Like in the XML file, I'd say, okay, do I want to close the browser after the run? Do I want it to generate a report? That's through the XML file. So, and all of that is test data, right? So you just need to know where to, like what you need to control and where. It's not about the numbers, it's about the quality, all right? So hopefully that helps. And, but that's how I approach test data, okay? So great question, love it. All right, next question.
Another one.
All right, this one says, as the only QA in my company, how do I get devs to start unit and integration testing? I'm the only QA member of a development team of 6, and my work gives me a lot of autonomy to improve development processes. I'm fairly new to QA, but I've worked as a developer for a few years before this job. Initially, I started playing around with Playwright and built a test suite that hooked up to our CI/CD pipeline. I realized that these tests simply confirm basic functionality, verifying CRUD. CRUD stands for create, read, update, delete. All right. Oh, why did I give myself a pop quiz? What? But I did pass. All right. Let's stop being silly. All right. It says, I realize that these tests simply confirm basic functionality, verifying CRUD, features, permission behaviors, etc., and don't really save any time spent manual testing. Our product works with maps primarily, so automating UI testing is not super helpful. I was thinking about writing more complex UI tests that possibly use database information or hard code inputs exceed expected outputs to get more value out of our automated tests. Sounds like a good idea for things like reports. But after some research, it seems like this type of testing should be done through unit tests, integration tests written in the code. My developer team knows this is a good idea, but they have not implemented it. My question is, how do I get them to start? Should we add tasks to go through each piece of code and start adding unit tests to everything? Do unit tests need to cover every function, method, block of code that serves a single purpose? Is there a productive way QA can help with this process short of actually writing the unit tests myself? If you've helped implement unit tests at your job, I'd love to hear about it. That is an amazing question. So, you're in you're in a interesting position, right? Because I agree with you that unit tests are like, I don't think you've actually written code until you actually have unit tests for your code, right? You can, in your mind as a developer, you can believe that you've written code, but it's just letters and numbers on the paper on the screen that's trying to do something. But until you can verify that your blocks of code are working as expected, then to me it's not really done, right? It's not done. So, but now the pickle that you're in, right, is to try to get try to convince developers to actually do their full job, not their partial job, because the full job is to test your own work before you hand it off to somebody to test for you, right? There's a few different ways of approaching this. I think you started already by like talking about it and thinking about it and everything like that, right? But here is the fear that what happens when you try to get people to do what they really don't want to do? One, they're either going to lie about it. Two, they're going to do it, but it's going to be the worst effort possible. Right? Like when people do stuff because they're being like told to do it. Like let's say you went and you spoke to the managers of the developers and stuff like that, right? And you made a good point on why unit testing is so important and why it must be done, right? And now they issue the decree that's saying all code must be unit tested, right? I guarantee you're going to get unit tests. And I guarantee they're always going to pass. But when you actually look in the unit test, it's going to be like the worst unit test that you've ever seen. It's going to be like stuff that are like so easy to like, I don't know. It's just going to be a hack job, right? So the strategy that you use is going to be, it's going to be, you're going to have to be you're going to finesse it, right? I would say, I would recommend a couple of books, right? I would recommend Robert C. Martin's Clean Code, and I would also recommend The Clean Coder. Both of those books. So the Clean Code talks about like the one how to have clean code and a very strong emphasis on test-driven development and unit tests, right? I think test-driven development is a little bit tougher to get people to latch onto. But I like it because of the mindset that it puts it in a testing mindset. You're writing the code in a testable fashion, right? But that one is a little hard. Like if people, especially if they don't even want to write regular unit tests, imagine them trying to write test-driven development, right? But I would say get those two books because the second one is about professionalism in the software engineering industry, and be a voice, be an advocate, even if you sound annoying, right? It's okay to me. It's okay to sound annoying as long as you're annoying in a forward-feeling fashion. What is most annoying to people is the truth that they don't want to follow, that they don't want to do, right? If you're just like nagging and stuff like that, that's a different type of annoying. But when you're annoying in the sense of because you're telling, like you're saying what people know that they should do but they don't want to do, that's a good type of annoying, and I appreciate that type of annoyance, right? And I would say that that would be one of the ways that you can like always talk about unit tests. If something fails, right? If something fails, like, oh, did the unit test fail? That would be my first question. If you found a bug, right? And let me know what you think about this, good guy. If the developers don't have unit tests and you catch a bug, my first question is, oh, did this pass the unit test? Like, you know that they don't have unit tests, but you want to rub it in. Like, I would rub it in, right? And then let them try to make excuses for why they don't have unit tests in this particular scenario, right? And then you said, like, okay, well, now that we know what failed, do you think we can add a unit test around this scenario? And every time something fails, you get them to write a unit test around it. It's not the optimal way, but it's a way to start getting in there, right? That's one of the ways that I would work on getting them to start writing, like rub it in their face. And then if you have access if you have access to doing this, install a code coverage metric, right? See what's the code coverage before people start blasting saying, oh, code coverage isn't the end all be all. Of course it's not. It's just a metric. But if you have 0% versus then that's like what case are you making in that case, right? I have like because it's not the end all be all. That means we have no unit test. Like, come on, get real, right? So I would say try to install a tool that's going to calculate what's the percentage of code that's covered via the unit test, right? So that's another strategy to and whatever the appropriate meeting for it is, go over the metrics, saying all right, this past sprint there were 10 bugs that we identified. There were 0 unit tests covering it, and our code coverage percentage is 0 or 1 or whatever it is at the time. Like this needs to be addressed, because every time there's a code change, that like the unit test needs to be ran to make sure that they're not breaking other functionality in other areas. It's just common sense in development, right? I don't understand. I don't understand like how they can get away without having unit tests. Like I know you have a lot of what was the word you used? You said you had a lot of you have a lot of autonomy improving the development process. I don't know necessarily why. Like if you're a QA, like you're QA, I don't know why you have that much power over the development process, because like you're not a developer. You are like, I can understand a lot of autonomy over the QA process, but you're not a developer. They should do their job. Like simple as that. They should do their job. Right? So anyways, like that's I don't know, whatever. I would say that's how you'd approach that. Let me see. You also asked how do you get started? By having them write their first unit test. That's the best way to get started. Write your first damn unit test. Simple as that. Now, the so you say the unit tests need to cover every function, method, block of code that serves a single purpose as much as possible. Unit tests are not going to cover everything. There's something that's just like pretty much impossible. But you want to get a high code coverage that like of the like make sure the unit test is actually testing the function, like the functions of the like the functionality. Like when I was trying to get developers to focus on unit tests, I was saying, all right, this is what the acceptance criteria is, right? You guys can write a million unit tests. You guys can write a million unit tests, but the unit test that I want to see should be focused on what your code does to address the acceptance criteria, right? Before you just send it over to QA and then we send it right back to you saying, okay, something's not working, right? Try to focus your unit test on covering the acceptance criteria, and then whatever else you want from there, all right? And that would be to the smallest bit possible. It's not like just, you're not writing an automation test that I would write. You're writing like the different components of the acceptance criteria that you had to build, right? Those need to be unit tested, okay? And a productive way to, I think I've answered the part about a productive way for QA to help with this process. You don't have to write the unit test yourself, but you should definitely take all the metrics that there are about the overall health of the quality of the software that you guys are building, and report that in the sprint reviews to the stakeholders, right? If they don't want to settle internally, let everybody know that the bad quality of work that you believe that is being produced, right? Simple as that. And lastly, like for the existing code, you could add tasks to go through it, but I would say like without unit tests, your software is going to be very buggy, right? So as you find the bugs, you're going to be adding, you're going to be going back and you're going to be adding those unit tests anyway. So make sure whenever there's a bug found, there's also unit tests added to it. Going forward, I would make sure that I would not approve a code review if there's not corresponding unit tests to go with it. All right. So that is that. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully you get your unit tests added very, very shortly. next one.
Another one.
All right, this one says, hello to all experienced QA engineers and QAs. What are your recommended tech tools, or what are your recommended tech or tools that is a must to have in our industry? I'm a manual QA that wants to upskill, but I'm not sure where to start. I appreciate all your inputs and suggestions. All right. Whew, okay, this is a tough one. Put on the spot here. Start my timer. The recommended tech or tools that you must have in this industry is your very own subscription to Tech Coach Ralph's YouTube channel, because here we give the greatest information about the software industry and quality engineering. All the information you will ever need. Subscribe to Tech Coach Ralph today. All right. All joking aside, I do want you to subscribe, but the recommended tech or tools. So many. But let me see, where do I want to start this, right? Let's start with business tools, right? Like day-to-day type work. You want to get familiar with Jira, right? You can get a free subscription to Jira, like, so you can practice like creating stories, creating subtasks, all that. If you're familiar with that, you will be able to pretty much just about almost every company uses Jira, right? So you can jump in and know what's going on. So I think it's super important for you to get familiar with Jira, because most companies use Jira, right? So that's from the like day-to-day business processes stuff, right? Now, what do you need for let me just check this through. Make sure we're good. Give me 1 second. Make sure we're still good. All right, we're good. All right, cool. Perfect. All right, just want to make sure we're still good on the stream. So, now for automation, right? You would want to use depending on the environment that you work in. If you work in a Python environment, then Selenium for Python. If you're doing Java, then learn Java. So for a tech stack, right? For automation, you'd want to go with Selenium. If you're in Java, you're going to want to learn about TestNG, Bonnie Garcia's WebDriver Manager. What else are we using? For APIs, Rest Assured, right? This is all in Java stack, right? And there's others, like there's like the POI, so you can use Excel and stuff like that. There's a few others, but I would say that's the basic. And there we do have videos where we configure, like where we write tests in Java and in Python. But if you're on the Python side, Selenium as well. You'd want to get a decent WebDriver manager. There's a few of them out there, but the WebDriver manager, it prevents you from having to do a whole bunch of manual setup, managing binaries. Like you definitely want to get familiar with APIs. With Python, they have it built in for request package that you can do API tests on APIs on there. So I would say get familiar with the Selenium grid. It is very helpful using Selenium grid because it doesn't take over your whole computer. Definitely get familiar with Postman. So or something similar to Postman or Postman. So you can like practice doing API tests. Very important because APIs are used all over the place now, right? So you want to get involved in API tests. Let me see what other tools that I use. So I'm a more advanced QA engineer, so I use Docker on a regular basis. Find some I would say to what other tech there is. There's so much tech out there, but those are the ones that I use on a regular basis, right? I use Jira every day. I use Docker just about every day. I use Selenium every day. I would say get familiar with if you're doing Java like in IntelliJ. Some people use Eclipse. I'm not. I used to use Eclipse like a very long time ago, but after I saw the light, I went over to the world of IntelliJ. If you're doing Python, my good friend Andrew swears by I can't even remember the name because he swears by VS Code, but I'm more of a PyCharm type person. But whatever IDE you use, that's all on you to use. So, but like get familiar with the IDE because the thing is like as you try to move up, you're going to have to be able to articulate yourself, and you want to be fluent in these conversations. You don't want to be like struggling and stuttering and not knowing really what you're talking about. Like you want to be comfortable. So that's why I always say practice, 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 practice here, practice with Tech Coach Ralph, practice at home, practice. And then when you get on the court, on the job, you can shine. All right. So that's that. I can probably come up with a better comprehensive list of that yeah, I'll probably do that. I'll come up with a list and maybe put it on the website on what is a good tech stack and tools that you should know if you want to upskill. But those are the ones that I use on a regular basis. I'd say like it's not like you have to get familiar with all of them at the same exact time, but it's something that you definitely want to look into, and it'll definitely impress your employers and it will put you on a upward trajectory. All right. So that is that. Thank you for that amazing question. All right. We tonight. So
Another one.
this question asks, is QA suitable for me? It says, I'm a computer science graduate currently working in a US-based startup remotely from a developing country. Finding such a job was not easy at all. I currently work as a full stack software engineer, and I am quite pleased with the job. However, I work slow. I can never work fast because I like things perfect. I was wondering, would a role as a QA engineer be suitable for me? Can I find remote work easily? Well, the answer to that is if you like things perfect, then I would highly, highly, highly urge you to stay far, far, far away from QA because although you like things perfect, you do not have the power to make things perfect. Let me repeat that.
Message.
Although you like things perfect, you do not have the power to make things perfect. I like things perfect, or maybe I like things a certain way, but I know working in the field that I'm in that number one, perfect is the enemy of good. So, and that's one of the great things about the whole agile environment, right? With the whole MVP concept, you know, you're not releasing something perfect. It can barely be good, but you're releasing something. And then based on the feedback that you get off of that, you iterate on it because to me, something might be perfect, but to the person who's using it, to the customer, it's the worst thing in the world because that's not how they wanted to use it. But me, I like it. To me, it's perfect for me.
I hate it here. I want to go home.
Right? And then when and that's how I feel when like I thought it was perfect, and then the person who's actually paying for it, who's using it, they're like, oh, this is not what I wanted, right? So being like thinking about perfect is not going to work, and especially if you are a perfectionist, then QA is not going to work out for you because you're not going to ever get it to be perfect. You're going to get it to work. All right. Now, if you are a full stack software engineer, and let's take this into perspective as well, right? You work in a US based startup remotely for a from a developing country. You probably have a position that many of your peers would kill for. Like literally, they'll probably kill for it, right? So with that being said, I wouldn't I would say like, and think about compensation as well. Um if Kia was to happen to pay more in a third world in a developing country, and you can get a job working for a US based company, then okay, sure, maybe go for that. But I think that the trajectory and the opportunities that you get for being a full stack developer, it is a lot, right? Maybe like me being in QA, I'm gonna be honest with you, right? Um, you like the developers, 9 times out of 10, they're gonna make more than the QA, right? Um, and as a full stack person, like you get to full stack software engineer, you get to like control a lot of things, and there's a lot of opportunity growth and everything like that. But I would say you already got something that many people would, like I said, would kill to get is working for like one, you have a computer science degree. Two, you work for a US based startup company and you work remotely. So you get to work from home and you're working in in a developing country. So, and as you said, you already said it was not easy at all. I know it's not easy, right? It's super hard to, because I know tons of people who are in like third world countries or developing countries, and they would love to work for a US based company as a full stack software engineer. Now, you might be getting paid a little less than if you were in the US as a full stack software engineer, but I can guarantee that you're getting paid a lot more than what you would be getting paid if you're working for a company in your country, right? Um, and I'm going to address the part about you working slow towards the end, right? But so you wonder if a QA engineer role would be suitable for you? I mean, all jokes aside, I'm sure like you would be just fine in it. But I think you are in a good spot as you are. And while you can find remote work easily, working for a US based company, there's a lot of hoops to jump through for a US company to hire somebody remotely in another country, like in a like there's many legal things, right? So I would say I would definitely say if I were you, I would stick to the full stack software engineer because it's it's something that you've been doing and you're good at it, right? But and if you're going to switch to QA, I would say switch it within the company that you're in. Do not leave the company that you're in because of your circumstance. If you're in the US, then I'll say like yeah, like just start applying for somewhere else. But because you are in a developing country, working remotely for a US based startup, it is not easy to get those type of jobs. So I would say cherish it and appreciate it, right? So and if you wanted to switch to QA, try to switch to QA within that company. Don't quit and now you are out on your butt and you can't do anything, right? Because I I wouldn't have sympathy for you because it's you making a bad decision, right? So now to address the part of you work slow because you like things perfect. So number one, liking stop requiring things to be perfect. You can like perfect things, but stop requiring it to be perfect. But number two, you need to practice more. Practice your code. Just practice the things that you work on, the areas that you find slow. Practice on that. Get better. Get faster. You know, no track and field runner. The first time they get on the track and they just blow everybody away. It doesn't work that way. They have to work. They have to run and run and run and run. Basketball players, Kobe Bryant, right? I never appreciated Kobe Bryant until I read more about him, right? He put in the work. He practiced like crazy. It would be 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. His trainer, Tim Grover, would get to the gym to work out with him, and Kobe is already sweating up a storm, right? He was putting in the work. And that's why, like, we would see Kobe on the court for like 2 hours during a game, right? But just to get ready for that game, he was working and working and working and working. And that's what I'm talking about. If you say that you work slow, you can't work fast because you like things perfect, you need to practice to know how to how the things that you like to do in a quote unquote perfect manner. Learn them better, learn them faster. Like so you can it just clicks. You just go. All right. Stop. Like don't change like your wonderful opportunity that you've been gifted. Right. You earned it, but it's also gifted, right? Don't waste that because like, oh, I feel like I'm working too slow, so I want to go to QA. If you think you're working slow as a full stack software engineer, you're going to be even slower as a QA because you're going to be required to test from a multitude of software engineers, right? So right now you're only contributing your work, but now imagine if you're QA and you have like 5-6 developers sending you stuff that needs to be tested, and you want things to be perfect, so you're taking your sweet little time on each of them. That is not going to work for you, and you're going to feel even worse. So I'd say practice your full stack software engineering, right? So I'm guessing if you're full stack software engineer, you're probably using like React and stuff like that. Go on codewords.com, right? Work on practice problems, work on getting faster, working on getting better, work on code katas, all that type of stuff. Get better at your craft and win. All right? Get better at your craft and win.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
All right? Next question.
Another one.
All right. So this one says, considering a switch from project. Let's try that again.
Another one.
Considering a switch from page object model to functional programming for QA, seeking opinions and experiences. At work, we are currently using the page object model for QA, but my engineering manager has suggested switching to functional programming. What do you think about this? I'm curious to hear your opinions and experiences with both approaches in the context of quality assurance. All right. This is a very, very good question. So, I remember when I started a job where I was working on as part of the software development team doing the QA automation, right? And I did my automated tests and everything like that. And I'm like, all right, let me submit, because the developers would always submit code reviews and all that type of stuff. And I submitted a code review. And these developers had never seen automated tests before. That was probably the last code review I ever submitted to them, because they started with all these suggestions and stuff like that. And I'm like, and me doing automation for a very long time, I was like, do I have to explain like every single reason why this is not going to work? Like why it would work for you as a developer, but why it's not going to work as automated, like as QA engineering, writing automated tests to test your code, right? So suggestions that they give is like how they would write their development code. And I'm like, but I'm not writing development code. I'm using this to test your functionality, right? Your output. So that little story to say that some of the worst advice that I've gotten from some of the worst advice I've gotten on how to do QA, emphasis on QA automation, has been from developers, right? Because they have their ways of working, but QA engineering is not the same thing as software engineering, right? We can still use the same concepts and the same models and stuff like that, but the mindset behind it is not the same. So the engineering manager might have a totally valid point on why his or her developers should be using functional programming and approach to the code, right? But when it comes to QA, the tried and tested model of the page object model model for QA. Like it works. Separating organizing your functions and your selectors and all that type of stuff in regards to the page that it belongs to. And that's why you have to be very careful about the feedback that you get from developers when it comes to writing automated tests. And so I'll give you an example, right? If I'm writing like a loop statement and the developer says, oh, okay, this is like there's something about this loop statement here or there, or you can do it a better way like this. Great, right? But when the developers come and they want to restructure the whole industry of how automation is done, then you're like, all right, take a step back. You got to take a step back at that point, right? Because developers will always. My time around? Nope. Developers will always. They're gonna suggest the way that they do it to you, right? Because automation testing is very foreign to them, right? See, I'm lucky enough that the developers that I work with now, they are very test minded and test oriented, and that they even contribute to the automated test themselves, right? But when you have developers who do not write any automated test, the most that they know about testing is like probably their unit test, then you're going to have this type of confusion that happens where you get like the engineering manager, not the QA engineering manager. You get the engineering manager who is suggesting the practices that they have in their test. Because if that's the case, they might as well just write the automated test themselves as well, right? Because the way that they do it, they approach the development code is not necessarily the way that you're going to be approaching the automation code. All right. So, and I've dabbled in functional programming, like when just learning programming on its own, and I'm like, would this work for? And I'm like, can I apply this for QA? And it just becomes more of a hassle. Like when you're coding, right? And when you're writing, especially when you're writing automated tests, you have to think of the goal in mind. And the ways, so there's many ways to achieve that goal, right? But what's the best way? What is the most logical way? What is the most efficient way? And as of now, I would still lean on the page object model being the most efficient way to neatly organize and structure your automation code, so you can easily know where everything goes, how to quickly get to something that needs to be updated, and just save time and hassle. And one question I would ask, like, and here's the thing, like, as QA engineers, right, get into the habit of listening, and then when you think you've heard enough, then you listen some more. And when you're about to ask a question, you listen one more time. And the first thing out of your mouth is not an explanation, but it's a question. So if they say, oh, we should switch to functional programming, right? Okay. The question is, okay, what would be the benefit that we get out of switching to this? Right? Like, what's the benefit of switching to functional programming for automated tests? And then you listen. And you ask more questions. And at some point, it might expose that they probably don't know much about automation or how the automation that you do is working. And then you have the opportunity to explain it. So after you do all that listening, then you can start to share and explain. All right. But as of now, I would say that you would probably want to stick to your page object model, unless you are provided with a good reason on why switching to functional programming and re-engineering all your automated tests would be beneficial. All right. So great question as always. All right. Let's see what's next. All right.
Another one.
So the QA problem, right? I work for a no-code sort of platform which can create a website /web components like product listing page or product description page you can then call those web elements components from the client's website to make your client's website more appealing and have higher conversion rate. Our code sits on all of our clients' web pages. Here's a problem though. We don't know which clients' web pages will have a CSS which will conflict with our CSS and break something. We have 20 to 30 clients, and what I saw is existing QA end up the entire day testing all the client web pages using a silly checklist to ensure all client web pages are working fine. They repeat this task daily. I don't know how they're maintaining their sanity working like this, but I don't have a solution either. Here, no matter how thoroughly I test the product itself, how can I test its compatibility when it's embedded on clients' websites without manually testing each client's 10 different URLs? Any questions or opinions or solutions would be greatly appreciated. So, I love this question. I freaking love it. Why do I love this question? Because it gets into the nitty gritty, the stuff that I like to do, the stuff that I like to give feedback on. And when we're in our meetings, refining a story, and I'm like, oh, what about this? And oh, we could probably do that. And just getting in the mix of it, getting your hands dirty. I wish I had my Viking cup right now. So, what is my feedback for this? All right. So, I would say that you do not have a QA problem. You have an implementation problem. You have a development problem, right? Because actually, before I go there, I'm going to pivot real quick, right? Because I was reading this question and I was looking at the different responses, and I just want to get this pet peeve off of me, right? When people ask a question and you are like, there's so many different solutions being offered, and every solution that's being offered is like, well, we can't do it. Like, it's like an excuse of why it won't work because of this, why it won't work because of that. I believe in any solution that you get, you stop talking and you listen, and now you take, because when people talk too much, and it drives me crazy when people talk too much, right? But when people talk too much, what happens is you close yourself from the solutions before. Excuse me. You close yourself from the solutions before you even hear it, right? Like, you come in with a closed mind is what happens, right? And what do I mean by that? So when I was reading the responses that this question was getting, right? And it's like, oh, well, how about automation? Oh, automation won't work because of this. Well, how about this? Oh, this won't work because of this. Like, but if you put everything together, you can engineer a solution, right? And that's what QA is about, engineering solutions, right? So stop talking. When you ask for help, shut up. Right? Like, stop talking. Like, get all the feedback. Like, people like to respond, right? So somebody, like, if I needed help, right, I'd make a post, and then I wouldn't say anything on the post for maybe a day or two, and I'll just see all the responses that are coming in. And once I can assess and I can think through all the responses, then I can ask follow-up questions to the individual post, or I can come up with a solution based on all of the responses that I got. Like, when I'm at work and I'm thinking about how to do something, and we're talking about it, and I'm getting feedback, and I'm just listening. Or even, like, if it's not something for me, right, I'm just listening, and I'm listening to how they're talking, I'm listening to what they're doing, and then when I finally speak, I'm like, okay, did you guys consider, like, taking this part here and this part here, and putting something together? That's how that whole Docker thing that I worked on the other day ended up, because, like, it was just tons of research and just, like, finding a way to put things together. But if I would shoot down every suggestion that I got, then it just wouldn't work that way, right? You just have to listen more, right? But now to the particular question, right? Because I did offer this as a solution. This is not a testing problem. This is a implementation development problem, right? What I would do with what I suggested, right, is the web components that you're building, wrap them in a div that has a very, very unique ID that the things in there can be targeted. So now there's 99.99999% chance that the client's regular website is not going to be using that ID in a div that will mess up their website. So that means if you do like div our super cool, super duper cool company content dot red text, and if the client has red text, your red text is not going to target theirs because it is looking for it inside of that div. So have all your stuff wrapped inside of a div with a super unique ID that the client won't be targeting. Now, if they want to go back and like change something that you have in yours, they can always do that and update it, but they would have to target your super unique ID, which is most likely not the case, right? But I would say that you would want to implement it differently. Like as a QA engineer, you can suggest better implementation approaches to your developers. It's quite simple, right? You're part of the team, so you can make suggestions as well. And my suggestion would be, all right, if this is the problem that's happening, how about we wrap our content in some type of very unique identifier that the client's websites are not going to be able to, we're not going to be able to mess with the client's website. That would be a very simple solution. Very, very simple. Just takes a div around the content that we produce, a very unique ID, and then everything we target is inside of that. All right. So that's how I would do it. But I love this question because it's just that one just excites me. So I love it. I love it. And we are at our very last question for tonight. All right.
Another one.
All right. So this one says, just started. Oh. Let me answer this. And then I see your message, Melissa. Let me answer this question and then we'll get to your message. All right. So let's start over.
Another one.
Just started Udemy for beginner quality assurance. If I do understand everything and I haven't worked in the field, what do I put on my resume? Do I make something up? Do I put a Udemy certificate? All right. So it's a good question. And number one, I would say so let's go with this. I was reading some of the responses to this, right? And I don't know why. Like using common sense, right? Using common sense. I don't know why that I don't know why people they downplay online education so much, right? Because the people are saying, "Oh, you can make another section as like continuous learning and stuff like that." And then you can put like your Udemy stuff on there and everything like that. But Udemy has plans for businesses, for companies, right? So companies pay Udemy to be able for their employees to learn stuff on Udemy. So why in the world would you not put your Udemy under your education section? It is very, very valid education. For me personally, when I see, if I'm reviewing a resume and I see Udemy, I'm like, oh, okay, this person, they have the desire to self-learn. They have they're not going to quit. Well, I mean, I can't say they're not going to quit, but they have the desire to do something, right? Because doing a Udemy course, it's all about self-learning. There's no one to it's not like a boot camp where someone is like you have a mentor assigned to you and they're pushing you and they're encouraging you. You can just easily reach out to somebody. So when you do a Coursera or Udemy or something to that extent, right? You are it's all on you. It's all on you. So that's why I say that. You definitely include it under the education section. It's education, and I even believe, especially when it comes to QA, right? And I'll mention this as well, but especially when it comes to QA, I think Udemy will teach you more about software testing than you'll get from any college. Why do companies want a like a computer science degree and stuff like that? Because if you go to college and you're working in the tech industry, like what other degree would you get, right? What other degree would you get? So yeah, it's like most likely you're gonna have a computer science. So they're gonna say, oh, computer science, but I don't like me personally. I don't have a computer science degree, but like when I look at what the courses that you take in like when getting your computer science degree, I don't see anything about testing, right? So yeah, I see what you're saying, Sean. Like exactly, I never seen a software testing course in college, right? But like everything, I've learned so much from Udemy, and I remember when I went to college and I started doing computer science, the course that they had that the class that I was taking was C++, and that was like totally foreign to me, right? So now. So with Udemy, you get that straight knowledge. And when I say Udemy, I'm talking about all of those self-learning online platforms. I like Udemy. I use it a lot, right? But I'm just talking about those online self-learning platforms. But what I'm saying is that like you learn very specific what you need to do, like Python, Java, C Sharp. There's everything on there. Like there's marketing classes on there. The list just goes on and on. Photography, all that type of stuff. So you get very specific about what you need to learn, right? So I would definitely list Udemy on a resume, and I would on my resume I listed like all the Udemy classes that I took, and I still get hired, right? So I don't think it hurts you in any shape or form. I think it enhances your resume because it says a lot. Like to me, at least, it says a lot about you. All right, so don't be afraid to put a Udemy course on your resume. And if you're taking a beginner QA course, put that on your resume, and then take your automation course and do some automation and put that on your resume. And take a testing and agile course, put that on your resume. All those things, because those are going to be super useful. Because let's say you didn't go to college for this stuff, right? College doesn't teach you about agile, and if not, where are you supposed to learn about it? Learn on Udemy. And now you go into the workforce knowing how to work within a team, how to work in the Scrum environment, how to work in a Kanban environment, all that good stuff, right? So learn about API testing, put that on your resume. I would even say take a course on full stack development. Even if you don't do full stack development, learn about it. Put that on your resume. Show the employees you have initiative to learn about what you're going to be working on. All right. And now, for the question about if I do understand everything and I haven't worked in the field, what do I put on my resume? So I already told you about the education that you put on your resume. For education. Now for employment history, I would say that you would want to put in all the work that we do some form of QA, right? Be creative in your wording to say in whatever job that you've done, what were some QA? So because you're learning about QA now, right? You're learning about QA. Take everything you learned from that and think about all the previous jobs you did before and see, okay, in this job, I tested this. I needed to verify that and apply what you learned in those courses to, and list those as use that to show how you applied QA in your previous jobs, even though it wasn't a dedicated QA role. But all jobs have quality assurance. Every single job, there's some form of quality assurance associated with it. Might be a lot less than an actual QA person, but in your resume, word it in a way that shows that you were still, like you're still providing like the quality to the work that you were doing. All right. So that's how I would answer that. Okay. Great question. I love that question. All right. So we are getting ready to wrap up, but I have to address the chat. Let's see who we got. So, all right. So we got Melissa. Says, hi, Tech Coach Ralph. Hi to you too, Melissa. I want to know how we use the div. All right. And I think you had some. Okay, so you said, why do we use the div? And I think you had one more comment. Let me see what your last comment. All right. It says, hi, Tech Coach Ralph. We use the div to group elements on our webpage, right? Yes, that is correct. So the div is used more for like you said, for grouping, right? And it's more for organization, right? So in like HTML and web development, you'll have the like where you want things to go, and then with the divs, you can size them through CSS, and you can put them in particular spots and everything like that, right? And I think as you continue with your web development course, you're going to get more familiar with all of that stuff. But yeah, use the div. It's more for organization and for structure. And so you can say like, so for example, in that particular question, what I was saying is, if they have a div that holds their like whatever product listing that they're displaying, you wrap that product. So you have that whole product listing in a div, and you name it, and you give it an ID of something that's very unique, right? And now you can apply different CSS to that div. So yes, it's for grouping elements, and it's for organizational reasons, positioning and stuff like that. It's not like a paragraph tag where it's not for positioning, but it's for type. Like, so it's for like a certain type of text. H1 is for heading, and H1 to all the way down to H6 or whatever it goes through. Those are for the headings. Then you have the spans. Those are more for like not positional. Those are more for contextual type stuff, right? Like the texts that you'd put, images and everything like that, while the divs are more for positions. All right. So that is that. Great question as always. All right. Let me see. Then we have a new subscriber. Thing not working. Oh, that's why it didn't show up.
I appreciate you.
Shout out to you, Tyru. Great to have you here. See if I can move this. That didn't work. Stop having it cover my face. Do that one more time. That one more time.
I appreciate you.
That right there. Perfect. And I do appreciate you, Tyru. Thanks for subscribing to the channel. You are in for a treat and a good time. Hopefully I can add tons and tons of value to your life. All right. And let's see who else we got in the chat. I know I seen my boy Sean in there. Sean says, agreed. If you are learning it, is useful. So I think you're referring to the Udemy course. And yeah, like definitely put it on your resume. Whatever you learn to be able to do the job that you're applying for, add it to your resume. I was telling somebody that I want to know where you got your information. Like like it doesn't really matter as much to me where you got it from, but I just like to know where you got it from, right? And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, because when you don't have it, it's like you just did it, was it downloaded into your mind like the Matrix? You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's why I was saying put it on your resume. All right, simple as that. And then I think we have one more from Sean. Facts. Like, yeah, I never saw a software testing course in college. I never saw it either. I read some posts that saying like I never even knew that it was a thing, right? Like they never knew that QA was an actual thing. And they went to college and everything like that. So, wherever like most people that I know, they had to learn testing from a third party, or they had to learn it on the job. And to me, you know how I feel about learning stuff on the job. I think that is the biggest mistake you could do. You're on the job to work. You might learn the ins and outs of that particular industry, but the general stuff you need to work. You need to learn that on your own. You need to put in the work in. All right. Let's see. And last. You are always welcomed.
I appreciate you.
All right. So I think that is it for tonight. I really appreciate everyone for being here. I appreciate Sean. I appreciate Good Guy. I appreciate Melissa. I appreciate anyone else who was watching that that was not in the chat, but they were there. I appreciate every single view, every single interaction. I just appreciate everything from you guys. So thank you for making, and I appreciate Tyru for signing up, and I appreciate all the other subscribers who sign up. And it's just a great time, and I have tons of fun on this Tuesday night show talking to you guys. I really wish that I could do it next week. I'm not sure yet. If it's possible, then I will do it. If it's not, then we will have to pick back up the week after. But I am here for you guys always and always and always. Reach out to me with anything that you need. And before we go, if you haven't done so yet, please like the video on your way out. Share the video with somebody who might find it useful, who might need some humor, whatever it is. Like, we have it all here. So share it out and subscribe to the channel like Tyru just did. And hit the notification bell so you can know when we go live. We're going to be going live this Thursday. And a bonus, I have a project that I need to work on for a friend. So I might so I'll be like building a website through WordPress. So I might end up live streaming those on Saturday nights, possibly. Just, working sessions, and we can talk and we can work and whatever we need to do. So yeah, look out for that. That might be coming in the next few weeks. But yeah, so subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, leave me a comment, whatever it is, get in touch with me. You know how to reach me. You can email me at Ralph@techcoachingwithralph.com, and we will get to it. So we work here, we work hard, but we also have fun while we work, because to me, working is fun. And let's get it. All right. So on that note, I shall leave you. Oh, let me get Sean real quick. Sean, I was right about to leave, Sean. That would be an interesting stream. Yeah, I'm gonna do it because I really need to work on it. And if I don't stream it, then I won't work on it. So it'll be fun. And for anyone who hasn't seen WordPress and how to install a template on WordPress and all that type of stuff, it'll be a good learning experience as well. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'll schedule it, and just follow along and have some fun. All right. So on that note, we are out of here. And until next time, my good friends.
You might think that getting into the IT field is impossible without a computer science degree, but Tech Coach Ralph is here to prove you wrong. Get ready for some jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into this lucrative industry. Listen up, tech enthusiasts! Are you ready to break through into the IT field, but feel like you need a computer science degree to make it happen? Think again. Tech Coach Ralph has some exclusive, mind-blowing secrets to share with you. Get ready to be blown away by his jaw-dropping revelations on how to break into the tech industry without a computer science degree. So get your notepad ready, because Tech Coach Ralph is going to change. Buckle up, because you're about to embark on a journey to success in the IT field.